coaching and mentoring in those areas. And we also, through our webinars, talk about different things which are, which help us at our workplace, which help us to grow and which help us, takes us further. So today's topic is about tech disruption and how IQ and EQ will help us to address it. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. And to start off with, I'm going to say that, the one truism all of us have heard is change is the only constant. Now, this is a bummer because every time, you get settled into something, you have the knowledge, skills, competencies to address it, things change and they just change a little bit and you now have to adapt. So, which is why adaptability is a great leadership skill and, growth and learning and everything. So, but we do feel like, we are the only ones, this particular generation has been buffeted with a lot more change or, been honored with a lot more change than others. But I'm going to just take a look back into the past and into the long past, let's say, when human beings just emerged. And there they were, they had just become Homo sapiens from Neanderthals, and they were running after animals, killing animals, eating, and generally having a good time, hopefully. Then they just found fire. One day, I guess, a stick, stones, rubbing something. And now fire, which can be managed and controlled. And then you can cook your food and you can be warm and stuff. Now that became pretty much of a good game changer. Maybe the lifespans improved. And then, you're still coasting along and then somebody rolls something circular and it looks like a wheel. And then some engineering brain amongst the early Homo sapiens said, oh my God, this can be used for mobility. So now you suddenly have a wheel and you become mobile and you're, carrying things and doing stuff. All of this was good. And it was the, life of hunter-gatherers just moving from one place to another. And then you figured, I don't have to run after animals. I can grow my own food. And farming came into the picture. And now that's a pretty good game changer because now you don't move from place to place. You may still hunt, but you have another source of food and your skill sets completely change. It's not only power and fighting and killing animals. It's now about setting up home, living with other people, becoming a community, defending yourself, all of those kind of things. Now those must have been big changes. So changes happen, even happened to early Homo sapiens, changes happen to us. If I look back in my career, I had computers when I joined work, but it was the D-based Lotus computers. And from there to laptop, from, early internet and Alta Vista, if I remember right, and many others, to Google. And then, to the smartphone where everything is on your fingertips, you're not going to a machine. And then, now we have AI. So everything we have adapted to, what is this big halla about AI? Why is AI different from every other change that we've had? And the only thing I can think, and the panelists will, of course, give you their views, is that AI is slightly different from others because while other changes, now, you could go and do a research on Encyclopedia Britannica or went into a library to find stuff and Google gave it to you. So it democratized, but you were doing the same thing. You're looking for information, whatever. But now the problem with AI, or the opportunity actually, the huge opportunity with AI is AI can think for itself. AI is telling us a lot of times what to do. AI also tells us that we are wrong. AI is making, in some kind of jobs, etc., human effort redundant because the humans are doing it too much effort and too much of thinking. Why do I need human effort in that? So TCS goes and says, I'm cutting 12,000 jobs because our AI-driven models of business is changing everything. So similar things are happening across, maybe hopefully not so dire, and maybe even TCS is not doing only for this reason, but still, it is definitely one reason which has come up saying AI is changing things, especially at workplace, especially in organizations, how we run businesses. AI is changing and transforming things. Now we as professionals have to adapt to that change and get the better of it, which basically means that we have to learn to work with this and make ourselves more useful, more productive, and do better things. Now, how do we go about doing it? Our panelists will tell us today. So at this point, I'm just going to introduce the panel members. We have Mudit with us. Mudit has been working, with us for a while, and have got to know him. So Mudit is a very senior person. He has worked with Johnson and Johnson for about 20 plus years, 23 years, right?
25 years almost.
25 years, right. He was also working with Dole after that. And now he is a consultant and he helps businesses. Then we have Mr. Sandesh Rane. So Sandesh ji is also a management consultant now. He was earlier the CEO of Sankara Eye Foundation. Then before that at Reliance Infrastructure. One commonality I found is that Mudit and Sandesh both are from SP Jain.
Yes.
Both have passed out of SP Jain. So coincidence here, right? And also on the panel is Mikhail Jacobs. He is a sales professional, a very senior leader, and he has worked for 30 years in ITC. So, what a wonderful achievement in an era of, people having 30 jobs in 15 years. So it's a great thing, and the learning. And now, as a career coach, I have learned that there is a lot of learning in stability. So learning in change, but learning also in stability. So Mikhail is definitely an example of that. And with that, Mudit, I'm going to hand over the session to you. For the next about 45 minutes, we will discuss this topic. Anytime any of you have questions or any observations, please put it in the chat box. We'll keep looking at it and we'll incorporate it within our conversation. Also, at the end, for 10 to 15 minutes, we will have a Q&A session. So we can address those at that point also. So welcome everybody, and over to you.
Thanks, Manisha. That was a great kickoff into the panel discussion today. For a minute, I almost thought that you're going to take us into this world of Sapiens, the now very famous book by, Yuval Harari, which actually is a great book because it actually talks about how human beings have evolved. And I think it's a book that also teaches you the evolution and how the human beings have been adapting and kind of this thing. But the focus of discussion today is to actually bring it down to the context. And just to remind ourselves again, the context is that we want to understand how EQ and IQ plays out in this age of technology-driven disruptions, right? I mean, disruptions have been around. But with this technology and with this AI coming in, it just, the scale has gone up by a few notches. I think that's why it's important for us to take stock of what does that mean and what does managing and leading in these times means. And we have a very qualified panel here, right? So my job is really to understand and, get the panel to share from their experiences on what exactly does it mean to navigate in this kind of a scenario, right? So, as Manisha also said, so the thing with AI is that it handles tremendous amount of data. It's a data-driven environment that we are now living in. So it's important to understand what is the role of IQ and EQ in this. I mean, because that's been our dominant way of understanding our own self and how we manage ourselves and manage the teams around here. So my first question to the panel is, with AI taking over analysis, automation, prediction, and all of that stuff, how does this shift impact the skill set that is required from our leaders, right? Especially those who are in consumer-facing, customer-facing roles. What is this new balance of EQ and IQ look like? The question is open to the panel. Whoever wants to take it first. We'll obviously get others to also, share their thoughts on it.
Yeah, good evening. I think disruptions are around for almost last decade, I can say. But this disruption is different because it is challenging not only the human centric parts what human brain was able to do, but it was also obviously it is also trying to ease out humans from doing repetitive jobs, but it's also easing out in some ways humans doing some cognitive kind of jobs where brains are to be used. Here the analytical bonus of technology is coming. So it is solving a lot of your analytical, because uh, AI is doing a lot of tasks which are far better than any analyst can do. But what's the role of emotional intelligence? Why emotional intelligence is essential, or even more essential part in today's technological disruptive environment, is because it is essential for three to four factors as I analyze it. One is resilience. You need resilience whenever you do things. Then fostering human centric innovations, because it's basically challenging human intelligence. Artificial intelligence is challenging human intelligence. So it needs to foster human centric innovations and sustaining performance amidst disruptions, because performance is the bottom line for any corporate, for any kind of task that I mean, whether you are taking a research task or you are taking a corporate task. So therefore emotional intelligence has a far larger role to play alongside these disruption. That's what I feel.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you, sir. Uh, so let's first begin with the thought or the idea that both EQ and IQ are not opposing forces; they are complementary to each other, right? In fact, we live in strange times, I think, because I think today, if you want to manage your work data, I think it should be roughly 70% EQ and maybe 30% IQ. That's the way I look at it. And as we go along through the evening today, we'll see how you combine your analytical prowess and your emotional intelligence, and how you can build your resilience, your human centric innovation, and how do you sustain performance. So I just want to look at it from the window of how it impacts and how they intertwine. So IQ, what is the IQ? What do you require IQ for? So let's first begin with the fact that IQ is something you're born with. This is not a skill that you can adapt. You can probably sharpen it and keep it agile, but it's something you're born with. EQ, on the other hand, is something you can learn. It's a skill you can learn as you go along and make it work for you. So what does IQ do for you in your business today? I mean, I look at it from that window. So today's business leaders, do not need to manually crunch data anymore. Basic data comes to you from AI, which analyzes sales trends. It can forecast your demand. It can even suggest you some strategies. What is the differentiator? Here, the differentiator is your EQ. How you take this data and how you adapt it to your teams, right? How do you humanize it? I think that is where today's focus should be. That these are not things to be scared of. These are not competing forces. If you put them together, you get synergy. Yeah. Yes, sir. You're mute, sir.
So yeah, very valid points made, and I think
There's some background noise coming. If anybody is not on mute, please do mute yourself. Yeah, go ahead, please.
yeah. So yeah, like I said, I think these are um very valid points that you're making about how EQ is now going to play an even more important role, because performance is not to be um, while we are learning our way on the technology, because again, AI is an evolving technology. Unlike the previous technologies where we were given technologies which were already stabilized and we had some level of learning that was transferred to us. AI is where we are also everybody's learning together on this, right? So I think uh, having an EQ which will help us to not just learn but also enable our teams to learn absolutely plays a very important role. But my question here is, coming from my reflection on this journey is also, when I look at some of the leaders that we are talking about in the industry. So, and if I look at my own self, right? I mean, we have been trained in an environment which was not coming from a AI context, right? The framework's very different. We the way we looked at people, the way we looked at organization, the way we looked at relationship and everything, all of that will now suddenly have to be reassessed in the context of AI. So specifically, my question would be, for leaders who are, 10 years plus experience in the industry, what would be the core leadership skill that we would have already acquired in our learning journey so far that we must learn or maybe unlearn, right? Of, what has to change in our managerial style, or what has to be newly acquired as a skill to survive and thrive in this, if I may use the word, tech first environment, right? So your thoughts on that? I mean, so how do we metamorphose ourselves from a leader in a particular era and times to a leader in the future, which is more technology driven and more, as Manisha, described it as a world which is rapidly changing. So what changes for those leaders?
Can I take up? Yeah.
Sure.
So basically, all along in last couple of decades, we were focusing on results.
Yep.
Doing task and finding better ways to do the task.
Hmm.
Now that particular thing is slowly and surely being taken over by technological disruptions.
Right.
When we talk about technological disruptions, there are various kind of things which we are hearing. One is artificial intelligence. Second is lots of automation which is happening, so which is easing out a lot of these tasks. Then deep learning. We have heard a word called deep learning, and machine intelligence or machine learning. That's something. Now, while all these tasks has come, I mean, it has become easier with technological disruptions. The leaders need to focus on their strength, and which is more and more required. So I would rather say that emotional intelligence is an underrated power in a digital age. Digital age, emotional intelligence has a much larger role to play. Why it has a much larger role to play? Because you need more and more empathy in human machine collaborations.
Right.
So that is one of the requirements why you need to have a better emotional intelligence. Then resilience and self-regulation, because there are a lot of tasks which are being doing much faster, disruptive, it is throwing new ideas, and it is challenging your own thinking process. You need resilience and self-regulation, how to face them. Many times, it comes just like that towards you.
Right.
Third is social influence and collaboration. There is more and more requirement, because there are possibilities that when this is happening so fast, some people may feel left out, that array, they are not getting chance to contribute or something like that. So how do you collaborate? How do you make an inclusive assessment and do things while taking everybody on board? So these are the requirements of the day, more so in the digital age, and therefore emotional. That is the change in leadership. that needs to come now predominant, because up till now maybe 80-90% of the time you were focusing on doing task and bringing results. Now
Correct.
maybe you have to give 50% time, if not more,
Yeah.
to emotionally manage your teams, finding the requirements and making them inclusive, and buying in what's going around while using this so intelligent and so fast tools. So
Right.
that's the kind of change what I feel is required to be done in a leadership.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you're asking me, and I'll speak from personal experience, having worked in the
Yeah.
FMCG business for my entire life. The one thing that I would unlearn, I'm in that cusp, because I'm somebody who did not have data, and then now we are in the AI world. So the gut feel, anything you want to do, any plan, hey, I've seen this before, boss. I know what will work. That instinct, you know. I think in this tech, in this tech first environment, you need to take your instinct, look at the data, mash the two, marry the two, and then bear out your instincts, and then proceed. I believe that is one way to go forward. But I also believe there are some things you need to unlearn. You know, you
Mhm.
need to unlearn. You need to unlearn the fact that no, my experience is tops, data is secondary. My experience overrides data, right? But when you get AI analytics, there are so many micro trends that come out from there. Because when you were looking at data, manually, or maybe just on an Excel sheet, whatever, you were
Yeah.
seeing the big picture. You weren't seeing the micro trends, and these micro trends make a big. I'll give you an example, if I may.
Mhm.
Mudit.
Sure. Yeah.
So, for example, if I am selling, say, biscuits, or let me give you a better example, I'm selling matches. Now I know monsoons hit Kerala and Goa quicker than they hit other parts of India. So I need to ensure that my product, which is adapted for the monsoon, which is a wax-based product, should be available before the rains really come down, so that it's distributed, available, and the wooden matches is not available there, because that becomes all soggy. And now these micro trends come out when you get detailed analysis. You don't know it when you see the big picture.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it for my entire area, but I may not know it, on small minor territories, right?
Mhm.
Another thing that you need to unlearn is, when we go for a launch of a product, a lot of us sit down and say, no, I want to be perfect when I launch this. Let
Mhm.
me keep correcting and taking out the rough edges and then going in for launch.
Yeah.
In this tech day, I think you need to drop that. You need to go in for a launch and adapt and adopt as you go along, and keep changing as you go along and tweaking as you go along. You don't have the time, because if you waste your time trying to perfect, you're going to lose that window of opportunity to launch a product.
Yeah.
Today, in the old days, the leadership said, boss, I have all the answers, I know everything. I think that is something we need to kind
Yes.
of put on hold. And you have this amazing advantage when you have a big team in front of you, to have melting pot of ideas. And actually you can learn from that, rather than say, no, I know everything. And then you have data to bear it out.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's my take on some of the things you need to unlearn.
Yeah. No, I think those are very great points. And when I look at my own self, I think, there are so many things that today, in today's context, that I can actually learn from the youngsters more, because, they are more in touch with these changes. And, literally this technology is like, they're born in this technology. So that it's native to them. It's not native to us, because we grew up in times when, things were very, very different.
No, I can imagine the fear factor that sits with these 10 to 20-year experienced managers.
Right.
Change is very difficult for most people. In fact,
Right.
for nearly everybody. I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody can say, I can adopt, but
Yeah.
change has so much to do with your biases, your education, your family, the works,
Absolutely.
right? So it's easy to say that you need to adapt, but yeah, you need to change. If you want to stay abreast and you want to stay in front of the, not get left behind sort of thing, you need to change, and you need to adapt to this AI.
So I actually can see we have Mr. Subhayu Bakchi in the call. Are you there, sir? Because
Hey, hi, I'm here.
yes, hi Subhayu. Now, and I was thinking of you because I know that you are a business leader by your own rights, but also you do a lot of coaching, right? So it will be interesting to hear your take on this in terms of what are you seeing, what are you hearing from these managers, and how are you helping them in coping in these in challenging times?
Right. Thanks, Mudit, and wonderful talking among such seasoned and such senior people. So thank you for the opportunity. So I'll make one simple point. I think technology is like fire, right? It's a wonderful servant, but a horrible master.
Absolutely.
So as long as I'm using AI to an objective of mine, it works. And that is where my ability to adapt, and some of the points that both Sandesh and Mikhail made, is the ability to adapt, adopt, and excel. So if I'm not leading the change, I'll become victim of the change.
Hmm.
If I'm not leading innovation, I'll become a victim of that innovation. And repeatedly, even in my current organization, it is creating a fair bit of disruption. I mean, workflows are getting disrupted, job roles are getting disrupted, output is getting disrupted. So suddenly we are finding that AI is a super efficient mechanism. It is wonderful at doing repetitive tasks. It weeds out error to the sixth place of decimal. It is also creative. A lot of my creative work has moved to AI. However, one thing that we must always bear in mind is that without a human in the loop, and I think even Harare speaks about the importance of having the human in the loop, uh, it will somewhere start disrupting what we hold to be true. It can very easily redefine reality, and we see that. The number of fake videos that we see, the number of nonsense that comes to us on our social media feed. So yes, there is the stressful part of change, which is, I think, about the topic, which is the EQ part.
Hmm.
But I think the IQ part is what we should lead with, because if I'm not leading the change, if I'm not accepting the change, if I'm not owning the change and implementing that change in my work, I will get, I would say, I will become irrelevant. And a lot of people who we today unfortunately see who are out in the market because AI has come and disrupted their life, perhaps we can learn from those experiences.
Hmm.
And rather than resist the change,
Yeah.
accept it, adapt to it, and excel to it. That's it. Thanks, Mudit, for
Absolutely.
bringing me.
Yeah. No, I think great points. I'm just going to build on that and take us to the next question in this discussion, which is, so we are all, I think, talking about, while there is technology, there is a human touch. And I think we all have, in different ways, re-emphasized the fact that it does not take away the human being at the center of whatever we do, right? So, but then let's also make it very practical, because, the reality is that so many things are getting thrown at us. And therefore, as managers, as people who are, you know, uh, entrusted with the job of delivering the business outcomes while we are learning technologies, while we are doing all of this stuff, right? So I mean, this was not part of our, if you think about our career journey, nobody told us that you'll have to deal with all this while you also have to deliver the business, right? So it's definitely something that uh, is a rider on top of what we do. I mean, we are not here to learn AI. We are here to deliver the business in the AI world, right? So I think that bringing the human touch into this is a very important and an important, piece of, or rather, I would say, anchor to this conversation. So my question is this: in this tech tool world where you've got dashboards, you've got chatbots, you've got AI and all that stuff that we talk about, data and all that, what would be one simple habit or ritual that you think managers should do and do it authentically, right? That will continue to make them very effective and efficient in delivering the task that they have to deliver on the business side, on the customer side, right? So what are your simple advice tips to the managers on one simple thing that they should do, which will keep them grounded, which will keep them focused on what exactly needs to be done while all of this is happening? Yeah. Open to anybody who wants to take the question.
Sandesh, you're on mute.
Yeah. So I would like to give my take on this. What you just said about the human part of in this particular tech world. Let's list down what right now at least. Tomorrow we don't know whether AI will do that as well. That what AI cannot do. Let's understand what AI really cannot do in today's context. So AI cannot understand human nuances. Within the organization there are so many human beings and each one of them being different, how they differently think, what are from what context they come when they are facing any kind of a change. So today AI cannot understand human nuances, which humans need to understand, and human needs to understand more. Secondly, it is not able to show any empathy, right? So empathy is another very important emotion which still AI cannot show. So humans need to really take care of that. Then building trust. Whenever you are administering any change, you have to build trust within the people who are going to face those changes. So building trust is another important thing which AI cannot do, which humans need to do more and more and more. Then motivating the diverse team. Motivation is another part which AI doesn't do. AI just throws you solutions. AI just tells you what need to do. AI just tells you how it needs to be done, how it needs to be done faster. The solutions come just within seconds. But motivating diverse team to adopt it is something which still humans need to do. Then also help someone cope with fear of change. Fear of change is there and it's more predominant in some human beings than others. So whenever somebody in the team is fearing the change, you have to help someone cope with that particular fear. And last but not the least, make ethical decisions in gray areas, because what AI does or the solutions come out are many times challenging. I mean, it is actually throwing transparency into the system. There are a lot of companies and a lot of processes where transparency was not 100% before, when the processes were designed by human beings. Now they're making ethical decisions in gray areas in the interest of the process, in the interest of the outcomes, is something which a human need to take care of. So it's how we relate, connect, lead, and support each other, especially in uncertain times, is what is going to make the difference in tomorrow's leadership. You should use AI as a co-pilot and not competitor. It is not your competitor. It is not challenging your intelligence. It is enhancing your intelligence. What you can think, how fast you can think, what kind of solutions you can bring on the table. AI is helping you bringing them better, bringing them faster. So use it as a co-pilot. Then lean into the human empathy while navigating digital tools. You have to, put a lot of emphasis on human empathy, which AI solutions cannot really do. And then know how to balance data with intuitions. Everything that data says may not take a right decision. Many times, experienced souls, their intuitions also make the right decisions. So, using data, definitely using what data is telling you, but using your own intuitions to use that data for decision making is something which we need to do. So disruption is not just technical, it is also emotional. And therefore, I'm again and again emphasizing on empathy part of it, that we have to take care of empathy. Power is in technology, but depth is in humanity. So EQ or emotional intelligence will take care of that humanity part. Power is already given to you by technology.
Yeah.
So that is, to me, is the future of leadership. That is
So
what I
great,
believe.
great words of wisdom, and I think you've captured a whole lot of ways to think about this. But I again want to take the liberty of pinning it down to say that what would be, again, to leverage your experience, what is your advice? What is one thing that the managers can do to get on top of this? One habit that they should adopt.
Involving team, I guess. I mean, involving team more and spending more time with the team
Okay.
rather than just focusing on the tools.
Okay.
And my experience tells me I've handled larger teams in my corporate career. So spending time outside office hours
So,
is
so
something,
absolutely. So,
something in a tech world becomes more important, that a lot of things cannot be sorted out, the human part of it, the empathy part of it, or in cabins. So maybe you have to take your employees into different kind of an environment and have a separate kind of a dialogue.
okay.
So that will be one change that one needs to do.
So stay in touch with your team, be around, be there, be seen, and lend yourself to the team very consciously is what your point is, right? Great. Mikhail, you would have any advice?
Yeah,
for
I'll keep it as short as possible. See, technology is a decision-making tool. It's a decision.
Right.
It's a tool to help you make decisions. Okay. And again, I come from the sales background, sales and distribution background. One practical habit which I inculcated many years back is start the day by looking at these dashboards. Today they are digital dashboards. You can look at the dashboards, understand them, maybe get in touch if you have issues. Interpreting the data, you can get in touch with the people behind the dashboard, get your clarifications. And then in the FMCG world, this is a big tool when you're connecting with your team. If you see gaps, if you see availability gaps, billing gaps, or if you see that, somebody struggling to make a sale happen, this becomes a big thing when you start your day talking to your team. Otherwise, there is no way you ever get a fix on what their problems are. Otherwise, you have to be physically present in every location, geography to be able to deal with this. Now, when you got it digitally, you can virtually connect, sort it out in the morning, and they can begin their day equipped to go and tackle it. That's one habit I believe, should be absolutely followed through.
No, that's a great one, Mikhail, because I think sometimes we get lost in the data. For us, then, the data looks like, this is what we live for, but we forget that there are people behind this data who are actually going to tell you more about that data than what the data is telling you, right, about the business. So I think, again, great point. Pick up the phone, talk to people. Don't just
take that instinct out of it, that instinct. I know, I've understood that. No, get clarification, sort it out, be clear before you communicate it forward.
Absolutely.
Why you wanted to say something?
Yes.
No, I think Mudit, a wonderful question, because it's sharp. So I can share what I do. So I think the biggest underlying reason behind stress is the lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about AI is that, unlike a Python, unlike coding, unlike any of these super technical disruptions of the past, AI is language based. I can use AI, you can use AI. I mean, it doesn't really, the way it has democratized adoption is not fun. So I would say the more familiar we make ourselves with whatever that disruption is, the lesser will be our stress and our ability to use it to the advantage of business. So use it, guys. Use Grok, use Perplexity, use Chat GPT, use everything and anything. I mean, I make presentations using AI now. Yes, it took me 2 weeks to figure out what a good prompt is, what a bad prompt is, but I'm not an engineer. So
It
it's
crunches
really
time.
wonderful the way, because it is language based, it's really, really easy to use. And the more adept you become, the lesser is the fear. Lesser is the fear, more is the positive impact it can have on business.
So that's a great point.
And you're far
Subhash.
more agile, if I may say. You're far more agile in your solutions and your planning ahead, because you're crunch time now.
Yep.
What was taking you maybe a day, 2 days to kind of put the data together, you got it all in one place very quickly.
Absolutely. And so I think what my takeaway from that is, and I think that is also what I was thinking about as I was hearing all of you, is that I think while there is a EQ part about how do we manage, but I think there is also an IQ part about let's also go and learn this piece, right? I mean, this is something that we should learn, and we should not look at EQ as a compensating behavior to this, right? I mean, EQ is great. We should do EQ, and we should get and talk with our people, empathize, compassion, all that is fine. But that doesn't happen by saying that, okay, we don't worry about the technology, we just manage the people, right? So that's not what we are advocating. We are also saying that, and for me, therefore, the one habit is every day spend some time reading about what's happening in the world, because it's happening so fast at such a fast pace that if you're not devoting even 15-20 minutes of the day to update yourself, you will, if so today you may be able to purely manage with your brilliant EQ, but over a period of time you'll find yourself getting stretched, because you can't be completely left behind on the IQ part.
No, you can't.
So I think that's a great point, and I wanted to emphasize that part as well, which is then taking me to my next question. How do we overcome this so-called fear of falling behind? Because as when we look around, there are people like I said, there are youngsters who already know more about the technology that I know, right? Or there are people in our teams, our peers, who already know sometimes more than what we know, right? So how do you coach such people, such managers on one is building that healthy learning culture for themselves, but importantly, do not be intimidated and do not feel and do not get into this wagon of, oh, I'm, the bus or the train has already left the station, because it's not, right? But in our mind, sometimes we can, push ourselves down, beat ourselves up, saying, oh, the world has moved ahead. So how do you, what's a good response to that? How would you coach people? How would you respond to if somebody comes up to you and says, there's just too much happening, and I'm kind of overawed by all this, overwhelmed by all this. How do you approach this? So what's your suggestion? What's your advice and guidance?
Mudit, if I may. Mudit,
Sure.
if I may.
Sure.
So I'll keep this very simple. Yeah, I'll just go back to what I said a little earlier on. We should focus on progress now, and not look at only perfection.
Right.
One of the things I believe in. And two, you have to foster a growth environment in which questions are asked, learning happens, and you are also able to celebrate victories. Right?
Yeah.
That's, I think, the most critical thing of overcoming, the fear of falling behind. You have to look at progress, not look only at perfection.
Right.
That's my take on it.
Okay. Fantastic.
I would just add to what Mikhail is saying. I mean, it's very simple. One needs to think very much, synergetically about this particular disruption. IQ helps solving problems. Your problem solving, etc., is getting transferred to IQ. I mean, IQ is being replaced by tech. But EQ helps frame the problems with empathy, and it also helps you inspire the teams to solve the problems along with you. So it's a synergy between EQ and IQ. One needs to understand and adopt to move forward. The leader should respond with digital curiosity, but with emotional intelligence. We need to be digitally curious about the tools being made available to you, the use of it, which kind of tools will be useful for your operations or your kind of task. But at the same time, they need to be emotionally intelligent. They should build psychological safety for the team. The team should not get frightened by these rapid changes which are happening around. And they should also not reward only the skills of adoption, but they should also start rewarding more and more the human values, the adaptability, the listening, adopting, supporting. Whether you are also supporting each other in facing these kind of disruptions. So that should be also awarded rather than just pure skills. So
Sure.
the future, according to me, belongs to somebody who is human centered, who brings human centered tech with empathy, something like that. Human core is in a digital strong. The future belongs to emotionally intelligent and technically curious people. You need to be emotionally intelligent more and more so in this particular technologically disruptive world. That is what I would say.
Okay. So, why your advice to anybody who comes up to you and says, so what should I do? If I want to get into this game and I want to be the leader of the future, what should I do now? What's your advice?
No, so and it's a very common question, Mudit, and it's age agnostic. I mean, you've got youngsters who are struggling, you've got middle management people who are struggling. So I think the one thing which I've found helps is, and it may sound like a bit of a cliche, it is also a capability building moment.
Yes.
It is also a way to make yourself future fit. It is a way to ensure that your earning potential improves. It's an opportunity to get into jobs that are future looking. And why will you not do it?
Yeah.
So I think the trick is in flipping the situation, presenting it as an opportunity rather than a threat.
Yes.
Now, theory, that sounds wonderful, but the magic lies in the execution of the thought. So
Yes.
people who are able to do it, obviously, it's a very different trajectory for them. Unfortunately, not everybody is able to do it because we get stuck in our own way of thinking that, oh, this is the end of my life variety. But I think a simple advice to leaders would be that you flip it, you make it into an opportunity to improve rather than wallow in this mera kya hoga variety.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, and I would really want this panel discussion to be centered around this central thought of, while this is a disruption and can feel as if we are being put in a strenuous situation, this is also a great opportunity, because this is also an opportunity for us to step into the new and the future world, because that's the window that has opened for all of us, wherever we are in the in our journey, in our career journey. Every one of us looks at this as, okay, here's a new tool, and now I need to get on and jump onto this technology and understanding this whole piece and figuring it out how to, because remember, the good part also is that nobody has figured it out, right? So if you figure it out, you can actually become the leader in the future. Right? So I think that's a great point that you're making, Subhari, that this is also an opportunity for leadership to shine. Right? We will see the new leaders emerging. We will see true leadership stepping up, and not just people who are coming from a legacy of being seen as leaders. Right? So really an opportunity for people to pivot their careers and see themselves and be seen in as people who are actually progressive and the leaders for the future, right?
So it's not going to be top down anymore. It's going to be democratized. You're going to get the idea also will come from the group. You can't turn on and say, oh, boss, you have to get this done and come back at the end of the day. It's not going to work like that.
Absolutely,
it doesn't work like that.
And since we have already
not anymore.
Absolutely, you're right. So, let me move with that to the last part of this
So,
discussion.
Mudit, can you take a few minutes to ask a few people who are here attending
Okay.
to what they may
Okay.
have done when they are facing AI? I can see Shweta Singh. I can see Narendra. So,
Okay.
Shweta, would you want to talk about it? What's been your experience of managing AI?
You're mute, Shweta.
Hi, everybody. I've been listening to the conversation and it has been very helpful. So, I'm an active user of AI. I never took it as my enemy. I rather, made it my friend. Rather saying कि अब मैं क्या करूँ अब मेरा क्या होगा. I took it in my hand. I made it a slave of mine so that it helped me
Well
rather
said.
than becoming my master or making me think, okay, AI is going to take over the jobs all the way around. It is taking up the jobs, but there are certain things that AI cannot do. The human touch, the emotional quotient, that cannot be implemented anywhere without the efforts of human going in into that case scenario. So definitely there are some jobs and it's not about a certain job. It is about every function that we are doing in the industry. Human factor has to be involved. And AI will give you the results, AI will give you the numbers, AI will help you with the errors. It will help you with the markings that you can do it better. You would have done it that way. But thinking that AI is going to take away all the jobs, that's not going to happen. You might get robots working for you. You might get the plants and all the factories controlled by plants. But again, you need a human to operate them. How are you going to operate them? At least a start button or a switch on button has to be put in by the human force over there. So you have to become friends with the AI rather than thinking of it as your enemy or sitting in the opinion that it will. No, you have to be bridge that gap. Okay, make it your friend and you see your work excel. Because I have worked in US for last 13 years and I've seen the technology going from zero to the best of the possible way right now and back to India. I see that people are scared, but we should not be scared. I would say make it your friend, make it work for you rather than, shying away or getting scared from the technology that is coming in right now. That's all from my side.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks a lot for that
Can
sharing.
can I introduce two more terms at this particular stage of our discussion? Now that we have understood, that IQ is being taken over by AI, I mean, most of it, the EQ becomes overriding and more important factor, emotional part of it. I'm now want to introduce EQ as well as SQ because that's something in this disruptive world becomes very important. EQ means adaptability quotient. Now, when we talk about adaptability quotient, it's an ability to adjust to the change, learn new skills, and thrive in evolving environment. So EQ also needs, to be taken care. What EQ does is it focuses on resilience, flexibility, and innovation under pressure because you are under pressure to introduce new things. And SQ is social quotient. Social quotient is where the ability to build and maintain healthy relationships and understand social dynamics within your teams. So there the communication, collaboration, and social awareness is something which is being taken care. So just wanted to introduce AQ and SQ along with EQ. All these things will be taken care by human while IQ is being democratized through AI.
I just want to add one thing to what he just said.
Yeah,
While he said that IQ is being taken over by AI, I still believe you require the IQ to interpret the data. I mean, AI will throw you
most
data,
of,
but you
yeah.
definitely need IQ to interpret the data, adapt the data, ensure it's in line with the way your plans are being made, and the outcomes are then guaranteed with that. Otherwise, it's just data. That's it.
Great. So I think, we have actually, we are on the dot here. But I just wanted a 1 minute response as a closure to this discussion from all the panelists here. And now I want a very specific future-looking perspective, right? So, as we think about the leaders of 2030, if that's the time frame that I can give as a context here, what is the biggest change in this IQ, EQ that we think we will see in our lifetimes, as we get to this 2030? And what is one thing that we should start doing today? So, just tell me, how do you see this EQ, IQ equation, working out in the future? And what is one thing that we would all want to start doing from today to prepare ourselves for that kind of a future? That I think is what I would want to leave with the audience as a thought from the panel. So, who wants to go first on this?
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Just one sentence. We have to need to bring more and more humanity into our leadership styles. While technology will keep disrupting.
So
the
what
way
will we
we
start
think.
doing? One action that you can suggest to people to start doing?
I
to
think
be more-
according to me, spirituality and
Okay. We didn't.
spirituality into your corporate leadership style is what will bring more and more of this humanity, in my sense.
That's fantastic. It's just that we didn't have enough time to explore that topic, but I think that's a good thought to leave for people to think and reflect more about. Mikhail, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I look at it in two parts. Maybe 5 years from now, what it would be. So I think a good leader will be defined less and less by, how much he knows, and more defined by how much he can adapt, how much he can adopt, how much he can learn. Right. And how much he can now start trusting in this tech-driven world, how much he can start trusting that data and learning from that data. In 2030, I can make an educated, guess on where it's going to be, but definitely it's not going to be I'm IQ strong and therefore I'm tops, or I have amazing IQ scores and therefore I can succeed without EQ being there. I think EQ is going to be the bigger attribute or a skill than IQ. That's my take.
Okay, great. So, why you want to give your perspective?
Yeah, no, so I'll just leave two phrases. One, intellectual curiosity. Don't shy away from new stuff. Two, emotional resilience.
Mm-hmm.
The last 6-7 years, thanks to COVID, thanks to AI, it has been a emotional wrencher. And especially this generation, whatever you call it, Gen Z or Gen Y or whatever it is, these guys, all of us, we need emotional resilience. It is very easy to give up and, say, okay, this is it, I can't take this anymore, but it doesn't work. So the more emotionally resilient we are and the more intellectually curious we are, I think will set us up for leadership.
Yes, I agree.
Fantastic. And so I'll with that, great points, and thank you to all the panelists for your contribution. I think it's been a very enriching discussion. I hope we've given some food to thought for the audience. Obviously, the idea was not to give answers or give directions, but
solutions.
Yeah. So maybe you have some thoughts, and I think what is emerging as part of this discussion is we are looking at a world which is going to be an AI-aided IQ and a human-enabled EQ, and the balance is what is going to still be required in this world. And whether you call that as a spiritual balance or leadership balance or ethics, whatever is the word that you find most suitable to describe, I think that's the world that we are going to all walk into. And if I were to leave with one thought on what should we do on a daily basis, for me, it is about we have to get back into this habit of learning, and this time the learning is going to be faster. So learning has to be a daily. It's not about degrees, certificates, or anything of that sort. All even books. Books are. So I also teach, but I realize that what I teach, I don't have any textbooks to teach from, because things change in 5 years. My sales and distribution has been totally disrupted. There are no textbooks on sales and distribution that can help me to teach the students on what's happening in the world today. So we do not have a choice but to learn and be learners, right? So the future leaders are going to be people who can learn, because that learning is what is going to keep us updated, will keep our IQ in place as we continue to invest in our EQ and balance it out, right? So with that thought, I would hand it back to Manisha. Manisha, do you have any closing?
Mudit, I just have one thing to say. When you say learning, I think, learning is not something that should be extra too. It should be now part of your daily routine.
Yes.
Learning is not only you learning, it's also learning with your team, the team learning. You have to create an environment for learning, for questioning, and you should be able to, there will come a time when you'll get questioned and you'll be asked by your team. You may not have all the answers, but you have a team.
Correct.
So you have a larger pool of talent where you can probably get solutions.
Yeah.
So I just had to say we'd had a very interesting conversation and a lot of takeaways. Some things you may know and they get reinforced, some new ideas spark up. And that's our whole objective of these sessions of webinars. So I'd encourage all of you who have joined in today to join in again. And we will keep sending you the information about newer webinars. And in case you're interested in, being coached by leaders like you saw on the panel today, for your career success, please feel free to just get in touch with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, both of you, and we will definitely collaborate. It's a world of collaboration.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining in.